being introduced to Zion when I was 3 years old. Um, my family moved from Gospel Tabernacle to Zion when Zion began. Um, and that's my first introduction to Zion was when we first began Zion in Pastor Croxell's living room. As far as how it's impacted my life, I really don't know anything but Zion because I've always belonged to Zion. The teaching that I've had at Zion has been second to none, really. We've had wonderful pastors and teachers and not just our pastors. We had deacons um, who taught, who were very knowledgeable and wonderful. Deacon Howard Jackson, Deacon Green, Deacon Harry Jackson. They were all like really great. I grew up in Zion. My kids grew up in Zion. I did leave for some time, but I came back because I mean there was no place else for me to go but Zion. Really, I don't have anything but great and wonderful feelings and memories about Zion. When we were kids, we used to have something called the EDC, was the Eastern District Council. The EDC would travel all around from, I guess, from Massachusetts to Virginia, and all the councils belonged to it. And sometimes, believe it or not, it was held at Zion. And I just have really great memories of all the people that I met. The services were really, really good. Missionary service on Tuesday night, and then on Thursday night, which was Deacons Night, the deacons always taught. And then Friday night was another Saints meeting. We had Sunday school, morning service, young people's meeting, and then night service. And then sometimes in between, we would have afternoon service. We would have like another church in or something like that. But a lot of times, if the afternoon service ran long, we didn't have night service. Night service didn't start until 8 o'clock. If you had school the next day, oh well, you were there. Zion is special. Everybody knew what we were all about. I believe we sent a lot of young people out into the world with really good perspective because of the teaching that we got at Zion. Zion was a safe haven. It was a lighthouse.
Okay, my introduction to Zion was in April 1950 when my family moved from Gospel Tabernacle Church to what is now Zion Temple Church. I have been impacted because from Pastor Croxell through, they imparted a skill that it wasn't about them, it was about the church. So, in other words, they were very unselfish in their giving and in their believing. When I first started going to Zion, there weren't very many of us. They used to call us the Hilltown Holy Rollers because the church was located in Hilltown. Okay.
What does Zion mean to you?
What does
Give a few words to describe. Zion is.
Zion is my life. Zion means everything to me. I learned a lot of valuable lessons from Zion and from people who attended Zion. Weren't necessarily people who were quote unquote the leaders, but I learned a lot. You know, there have been some really good soldiers who carried that blood-stained banner from out of Zion. And, well, again, if you look back through the council, look what little old tiny, as Pastor Croxell would say, look what little old tiny Zion Temple did. We could hold our own against anybody. Oh, how I love Zion.
I grew up in Zion. Zion is the only church that I know. I got saved at the age of 9. There were a lot of integral parts in Zion that drew me to Zion. Was, first of all, my mother brought me there. Then Pastor Crox was an aunt and a relative, so I was so proud to have her as the pastor. We talked about Pastor Barnes, how Pastor Barnes was like a fireball, and when she would preach, she would walk down the aisle, and she'd come down the step. I can still see her coming down the steps, and you thought, oh God, is she going to pull you out? And she was an outreach person. She'd go out in the streets and witness. She'd go in, as they called it back then, the beer garden, and go down there and preach. That was Pastor Barnes. What impacted me was the strength that my mother had, the consistency that my mother had, the late evangelist Mary Taylor. Sister Alice Green saw something in me and encouraged me to be a Sunday school teacher, the late Mary Barnes. She was the first one to give me my first solo. When she left, when they opened up their church, A Highway Holiness, there was no musician at Zion. So we had a revival with Pastor Belma Gorham, and they said, who wants to play? People got in line. I got in line. Sister Trish Jackson got in line. She got her hands anointed. She went to the piano. They put me on the organ. I started playing. I didn't play. I had one finger, and my Aunt Irene Dyson used to say, put the other hands up, or you never know what God's going to do. So that's what I did. I started playing, and I remember anyone that knew, we had 8 o'clock service at night. Everybody was so excited to get to church. And I only had do-do-do-do. That was Zion Temple get-off music. And that may sound funny, but the Holy Ghost was there, and we had church. The first song I ever learned how to play was To the Utmost Jesus Saves, and we had church. I can remember one other song in Zion was Stretch Out. That was a song back in the day when the senior choir used to sing, and that song, when the people heard the introduction, they knew when they sang Stretch Out, Zion was going to act out. It was always just so good. Late night services, all night services, we just had church. So those are some of the great memories of Zion. Zion has definitely served an impact in my life and still does. I mean, I got saved at the age of 9. I'm 50 now, so it's been a journey, good, bad, ups and downs. But I thank God that I am a member of Zion Temple.